Hello guys, it's Ellen and welcome to my channel, and it's Monday, so we do mini Monday Madness tutorials. We're doing a little fun little winter scene with just a bunch of blues and some white gouache. I go over the step-by-step and how to draw it. If you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. So just really we're going to be playing with blue colors. You can create any blue colors. I'm just going to go over some techniques and maybe a little bleeding in some color. It's good to use this paper that I talked about, Arch, because it creates like a nice wet on wet technique. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't hit the bell notification button, please do so. And like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. On Patreon, I have traceables, ad-free videos on the mid-tier, as well as exclusive tutorials on Thursdays. And on the top tier, I have a live stream and download from me once a month. It's a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much, and you can check it out right up here. Boop, boop. So without further ado, let's get painting. Alright guys, I will go over my supplies. I have a piece of Arch 100% cotton cold pressed paper, 3-inch square, taped down with Scotch tape on this thick piece of cardboard. I'll be using my Princeton 8 and 4 long round velvet touch series brush. I have my paper towel, my water jars up here, and my paints and my palette, and I always have them in the description box. Click on the little V that's on under the words show more on the left hand side, and the whole box drops down with all the description and links to get all the supplies. Like I said, if you're a Patreon member, you can download the traceable. If you're not a Patreon member, just think about little hills. So I had the square here. And draw this a little fast. You can always slow this down on YouTube. And then mounds, just kind of crisscross some mounds here. Head like this. Then I drew just a simple little house here. Right, then I have some more mounds here in front of it and around it. Over here, because I'm going to put color in those. And I'm going to put some trees and branches. And we're going to play on that. And the little moon will be up here. So you see what I'm talking about. We simple little shapes, and then we're just going to put on those little pretty little white trees or white branches using the gouache. So it's just a blue on blue winter kind of scene. I was trying to figure out what to do for, no more Christmas, right? Now we got like January. So I'm going to take my Princeton 8 long round brush. I'm going to mix up some blues. I have ultramarine blue here. It's a little bright. I have Prussian blue up here. And I have this neutral tint color here, like gray, and peacock blue. We're going to be playing around with mixing up some blues, blue on blues, and of course the sky can be whatever dark color you want. I think I'll mix up some Prussian blue with some neutral tint, make like a deep dark sky. Going to paint all around the area that's not the moon, of course. I just kind of fill this in with number 8. I don't want to paint these areas, little mounds that I created, and a little house. So obviously whatever is painted with the watercolor will get wet. Just going to fill this in. You could use masking fluid if this is difficult because it's very tiny painting, but I'm used to kind of manipulating with my brush. That it's not a big deal. So why would I still paint something this small on Arch paper? Because the wet on wet technique is the best on this type of paper. Now see, I'm putting in the flat color now, and I'm going to start to bleed in some really nice pretty dark colors. So there we go. It's just like one solid color. But you can see how damp it is still. And I'm going to take some neutral tint, which is like a Payne's gray. You can kind of bleed that up in here. Make that a little bit darker down in here. Just for dramatic effect. And sorry about my lighting is flashing. It's just something wrong with my lights, and I have to either get a light or figure out what's going on with it. I don't understand. Until then, it's either no tutorial or I'll give you a tutorial with a flashy light. So I choose the tutorial. So I'm putting in more, I want this more like a blackish blue kind of sky up here. Simple like that. So it's pretty damp and dark, which is kind of what I was going for. Again, you can make yours lighter. It all depends on how you want it to look. I also have white gouache here. Now, I know that bokeh look that I talk about, I splatter it, but here you can take and be a little more, you know, precise of how you want to stick it in your painting. I don't necessarily know if I want to do it, but I'm going to put like a little couple of dots and see how it goes. Teeny weeny. Kind of around the moon. Let's just see. I don't want to put too many. Put a little couple up here. Oops, see, that's a little too much. Not what I was going for. So I'll just lift that paint up. Teeny weeny dot. See what happens. Just kind of sporadic around. I don't really mind that little splotch, but actually. Let's create a bigger one. See what happens. Making it like a magical sky. Yeah, I actually don't mind it. See? Want it magical. So now we can start working on the bottom layers. And basically it's just blue on blues. You don't need me to show you every little detail, but I'll show you at the beginning. We're going to play around with wet on wet here. Now I kind of sketched in the mounds, but I kind of want it to be more organic looking. You know, I mean, we do like the really simple like trees. So I'm going to do a mound, color this mound in here. Ultramarine blue. I'm going to mix some neutral tint with that. I'm going to change the color a little bit, water it down. Let's see what we got. So like I said, I'm just going to color in. I see the mounds here that I'm looking for. I'm going to fill this whole thing in, just in this section. So even though I have a sketch, this is going to be more organic because it's just going to give you an idea of where you want to place the color. So then you take the darker colors that you had, either ultramarine with the neutral tint, mixing that up. Water it down a little bit. And we just tapping it, and it's going to bleed. We want it to bleed. So it has that organic spider kind of look. Right? And then take another color. We could take that peacock blue. I'm going to mix that with neutral tint. See what we got. Get this other deeper blue, just a different color. So you can keep tapping this, and it's doing that thing. You can put some of that Prussian blue one that I had from the sky up over in here on this side. Let's see what we got. Maybe I'll use some of that here, a little bit darker on the bottom. So this is a nice organic kind of feel to it. If you want it more structured, you can kind of just lift up the paint like I'm doing here. Tap it on the paper towel. See how it's like stopping where I picked up the paint? You can do that. Go back into that first one I had. I'm putting some deeper purple blues here on the edge. Grabbing some water. And pushing that paint around. Again, if you want a separation and even kind of a cool look to it, just go like that. And if you want to go back in and again and add some deeper color, it's still wet. You can do that. It's a little too dark, but you get the idea, like, you know what I'm saying? That little mound. This is the wet on wet we have fun with. could even throw like a little couple of dots. See what happens. Play around, guys. This is not like a specific, has to look a certain way. And this is where you have fun and you play. So I'm going to add a little couple of dots and see what happens to that. So I kind of like that. There's variation of colors in there. I don't know if you're seeing it. My video camera seems to be looking so much darker than it really is. If you think that's too dark still, you can lift some of the paint up. Like I showed you. So obviously you have to be careful painting the rest of it because you don't want it to bleed into each other. So we could try and work on some of these other, if you want it real serious, you know, you can paint in the actual mound that is sketched in here. These will all take time, and then you can bleed in some darker color from each little mound that you paint. Get real technical. It will take time, but it will look really pretty. So you can do that with each little, like I said, each little mound. Go in and paint the color. And you want the blues to be all different, so you can distinguish them. Have fun playing around with adding colors and add a little different color in here. See how it bleeds. Very exciting. Just tapping the edge. See that? And I'm going to make these trees back here. I feel like it's all dry in here. So, you know, you can play around. The house part I'll keep white. I'll keep the roof a little dark, like a gray tone. So I'll take my neutral tint. I'll water that down a little bit. And I'll make that like a nice pretty gray. And I'll keep that kind of flat color. A little bit here. Just a simple gray color. The side of it, we have the little mounds up here of trees. Now I do want to make some different colors, so I'm going to do ultramarine. Just water that down. Up over in here. Peacock blue. Water it down, add a little color to that. Put that blue, it's a totally different blue, see? It's gonna be a bright turquoise blue. Oh my God, you guys are exhausted like me and you can't even speak anymore. That's how I feel. I'm gonna add a little yellow to this. Change the green, the turquoise up a little bit. So you want these different color blues on the trees. You can just water down just a, you want a variety of blues. Lady sings the blues. See, there's a nice bright ultramarine blue. Gotta be careful painting in between these because they're kind of both wet right now. So all the little mounds, like I showed you, you're going to paint all different colors. Here's my ultramarine. Make it really bright. So you can differentiate between the mounds. Just filling that in. Now if I want to just go in and grab some of the concentrated color of this without, just go right behind this one. This one got a little like almost, not even pretty color I think. I want to keep some bright ones in there. Just like that. And then we can go up in here. I'll put that bright color also up in here. Blue on blue on blue. There's a couple, there's 3 mounds here. So I'm going around them. Some of my blues might be a little muddled, but that's fine. It's kind of what I went for. You guys change it up and do what you feel is best for you. I'm going in and adding some more bright ultramarine blue. Now I've got too many of those here, so I'm going to switch it up with the color back here. Almost like a blue-green. So it's just a bunch of different blues. And all those little mounds. For the side of the house, I'll just put a little darker color here. I'll go back with my like neutral tint gray color. Make the roof a little bit darker. And then there's a window here. Put that in. I'm just going to put the dark color in. I can go back in with gouache and put in the little window panes. So you see where I'm going with this? I'm going to dry these and fill these in. And then we're going to start playing with the gouache. Okay guys, once you get all your blues filled in, all the little mounds, whatever mounds and bushes you want to do. And if you want to go back over, you do another swipe to get those mounds to look really, you know, specific. You don't have to do that. I'll let that one dry a little bit. And then you're going to take your 4, because it has a nice tip. My number 8 has a super pointy tip, so I can use the 8. If you need a really skinny one, you can go for the 4. I'm going to play around. I'm going to get my gouache all watered down. You want to be able to be loose enough to paint with it, but not super loose it becomes translucent. You want it to be opaque. Actually, I might switch to my 4. Let's see how skinny this brush gets. I feel like my 8 might be better because it's brand new and the brush is really small. So I'm going to make these little branches. Just kind of wiggle. Oops, yeah, it's a little thick. This is going to take time. And you can put little leaves. See, I'm just kind of pushing around a little paint to look like little leaves. Right? I'm going to do a bunch of these little branches. Little skinny ones here. And then you can put little dots on top. This is going to have a great look. More skinny branches up here, kind of coming up here. Another one up here. And you can put leaves on them or little dots on the ends. It's just going to be so pretty. So here I'm doing ones with kind of funky branches, and then I'll just put little, see, I'll just put little dots, dashes next to it to indicate leaves. You're going to take your time to do all this. And then in each one of these little doodads, these mounds, you can make more branches, more leaves. You can put like almost like a stem with like a little flower with little dots. You get really creative with each little mound. But we're going to be using the gouache. Let me see, this is dry. It's pretty dry. See here, I'm just making a bigger branch. You can make a couple in the front that are really big, more dominant. The look it's going to create is so pretty. And get creative on how, you know, you put flowers in the front, berries. Doesn't have to look like this. I might put little dots on the mound up here and in between the where the leaves are, just almost like snow. Playing around with that. See, it's already looking kind of cute. These trees up here, I might just do like a simple stem. Some like bees coming off. I want them really kind of skinny. Mine get a little too fat. Put some little dots. It's gonna be teeny tiny. See, all the little blue areas will have these little branches. or trees. You can put actual tree. I didn't sketch that in, but you can get really creative. Just trying to make this really skinny. Like that. And then the bottom one can have the little small leaves. See how much fun this is? I do have, like, in the sketch, my first initial sketch, that I had a branch kind of coming out this way. On the top. So that's going to be a little bit lighter, not really bright white. You want it kind of almost translucent, like a dry brush. Just putting little funky branches out here. Going towards the moon. Can make it a little bit whiter on the end. And then just really scrape lightly on the outside. So it's like barely noticeable. Unless you want it to be really noticeable. Right? See, it's kind of mystical. And again, just go back in all these little mounds. You can put more trees here. They could be coming off the mound. So it's really predominant, so you can see it. I'll put little dots on the mound. Depends on how you want to do it. You can make it really light. See, making this one light, it just took off some of the paint. Just filling that little mound. And like I said, I can put little dots in between, even up here. Really teeny tiny. They're like little snowy mounds. Here's this one. I could put the little branch like this. And again, add the dots. Getting there, almost done. You could strategically add some dots around the moon, maybe a couple of little lines to indicate that it's glowing. See, putting some lines around the moon, separating them, you know, and then I could put little dots. Make it magical. Can I have some dots like it's snowing? I want this to be fun. Little dots on the mound. Some more down here. Now, some of my, like I said, my gouache it is getting a little translucent down here. I might have to go back over it so it's really white. It happens, you know. Go back and add. The translucent's nice because then it's subtle. But if you really want intense white, you have to go back over it. I'm just going to go back over some of it, not all of it, because I kind of like the combo. Adding little dots. Branches. This one really faded out. So that's what you're going to be doing. You can make strategic, you know, bigger dots up here. See how I'm kind of making these strategically, placing them. And so a little detail on the house, I might add a little gray shadow on the edge here. Grab some of your gray. Just put a little gray. I'll water that down. This mine's coming out too dark. Yeah, pale. And like I said, for the window, because it's really difficult to paint the little in between, I'll go back with the gouache and do the crisscross for the window. And really, you know, you can go back and also with the blue. I'm going to take some ultramarine blue. And you can go do some blue dots. See? Doesn't have to be all white. It's kind of pretty. Again, I've lost some of the white in here. I can go back and fill it in. Add some deep blue dots. I'm kind of liking that. It's just supposed to be a mystical, magical winter scene. So I go back in here. And I'll get more precise with my gouache in the areas that are lost. And add some more white dots. So, you know, something fun to do. You can do this for a spring type of look. Just obviously the colors would be brighter, greens, pinks, and then the trees would have actual leaves on them. Fixing my branches here. Whatnot. And I'll make the roof a little tad, just a tad darker. Grab my gray. Just a little tad darker here. So that's it, you know. I mean, you're playing around with the colors. It's just going to make it a little magical. You can add a little gold to it. I'm going to go back in. I'm standing up and see where I want my dots. Strategic. It can be in clusters. You know, like one side. Around the moon like I just did. Yeah. I think that's it. It looks good. So let's just pull this back and take off the tape and see what kind of pretty little house we have here in the snow. I never have an issue with this tape tearing apart my design. So isn't this fun? Do a whole bunch of little blue mounds, and you can create this cute little winter scene. And play around with it, guys. Have fun with it. So if you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section. I think this is so easy and doable for anybody to do for watercolor, but really pretty, a pretty effect. You can try the bokeh splattering in here and see what happened. Like up here, I got that really kind of mystical blue. You can try it. Like I said, if it fades a little bit, you can go back over and add the white and it'll pop a little more. So I hope you guys enjoy this mini Monday Madness tutorial. Like I said, if you have any questions, please in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. And if you haven't hit the bell notification button, please do so you know my tutorial's up. And that's it. So thanks guys for being here. It's been a crazy wild ride year and I'm going to continue again in 2022. Take care.